Hey, what the hell's going on, you guys? It's Tubo Play Negative AE, and welcome back to another episode of Higurashi When They Cry. I always record these like super late for some reason. I don't know why. But here we are. We have an awesome music track playing, so that's kind of crazy. Get myself prepared for another episode. Here we go. We've learned a lot about Takano, but here I think we're done with her. I think we just learned everything that there is to learn about Takano. So now we're gonna go back to the kids and see how they solve the problem, is what I'm assuming. Welcome. Welcome to the world of Higurashi When They Cry, Matsuri Bayashi. In this world, you will be able to recreate the story from Hanyu's point of view. Hanyu! Oh, we get to be Hanyu. We get to be freaking Oyashiro. The purpose is to create June of 58th year of the Showa era according to your ideals. You will need to collect many different pieces to make it possible. However, Takano's ideal is very strong too. To overturn it, you will need lots of effort and pieces. I'll warn you right now, it'll be a slow and hard work. Hanyu did it for over 100 years, and she even gave up once, giving in to fate. Not easy to defeat Takano's ideals. The trial in this world will give you as much pain as Hanyu had to endure. You may surrender just like Hanyu did because you're emotionally worn out by the countless number of pieces repeating in the world. When you admit your surrender, you can end this game anytime. In that case, the world... that's like a threat. It's like, are you gamer enough to sit through this, even though you know exactly what's gonna happen? Freaking what? In that case, the world surrounds you and your friend's fate closes, starting with Onakakushi and ending with Minagoroshi. By forgetting about this world and uninstalling this product, you will accept death in this world. What the fuck? Just like Rika did. Your ideal June of the 58th year of the Showa era will be created by putting together 50 pieces that are scattered all over this world. To connect the pieces together, you will need the right ones. There are 50 of them, so you may even get... wait, we're collecting pieces? However, this world isn't that merciless. To ease your pain, there'll be a little help for you. When you choose the wrong pieces, your only ally will give you a sign that it's not time to put those pieces together. As long as the sign is there, you won't be able to put those pieces together. You might as well go look for different pieces. What? When you put all the pieces together, you'll be able to put together the ones you couldn't put together earlier. I'm just gonna be reading, right? I don't know. When that happens, she'll give you a warning to let you know that. Let's put those pieces together, then you'll be able to put the other pieces together too. When you put all 50 pieces together, it'll become one big piece. Then you'll find your ideal June of the 58th year of the Showa era. That's when the long-awaited Matsuri Bayashi starts. Before you peek at each piece, why don't you line up all 50 pieces first? Most of the pieces need other pieces, so there are only a few you can actually peek at. Let's try to find those pieces first. To find the conditions to put the pieces together, just point the cursor at them. So let's find the pieces you can peek out without a without a condition first? This will be extremely long and hard trial. Let me tell you again, Hanyu challenged this for over 100 years and gave up once. If you believe in miracles the same way your friends do, even if you don't live in a world where they live, if you believe them, what is happening? Welcome. Miracle only happens when everyone combines their power. She has national power backing her up, so her power is not at a normal level. If you roll 100, I'll roll the 1. Wouldn't be a chance to... in other words, a miracle is the only way to defeat her. Miracle only happens when everyone combines their power, and you are one of them. Are you ready? I'm more than ready. Key to a long journey is not to work too hard. Let's take it easy. I'll work while drinking my usual white wine. Then should we start? There's no time limit here. I'm just reading, right? Or is it gonna make me like piece things together myself? Cause I'll do it. You have obtained a new piece. Oh geez, here we go. What have I got myself into? Can we? Okay, let's save it. This is a good place to save. I know we just saved, but now I have some conflicting thoughts. Okay. 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 So I don't know. I mean, this is basically the comic book section of Danganronpa, which is pretty crazy. So there's a lot of pieces that we can just look at, which is pretty crazy. Now I don't know. Now see, here's the thing, right? Is I don't know. Okay, so these blacked out ones over here. Okay. Okay. So I have to solve this. Okay. Let's go back to page 1. I'm pretty sure. Let's just click on a piece. This piece can't be connected yet. Okay. Hold on. Load. Load this piece again. I don't want my memories to break. This isn't what I signed up for. Okay. Hojo Satoko's detailed test result is required. EDA is required. The death of the construction site manager is required. EDA's motive to become a doctor is required. Required. Rika's father needs to be marked as an opportunist. Rika's mother needs to be suspicious of the EDA institution. The death of Hatoko what? In the world? In what universe? So do we... This piece is required first. Okay, so we found the first piece, I think. Group physical exams are very meaningful for our research. Although it's for a certain age group, we can examine many of the Hinamizawa residents at the same time. It's perfect cover for our research center. Also, because of the connections, we are able to perform autopsies on the villagers. For the people who work in medical fields, this is a perfect environment. The follow-up research of the late Dr. Takano is going smoothly. The amount of research compiled by him is absolutely what? Astounding. It reminds me of how great of a researcher he was. Excuse me, Director. Oh, Takano-san. We just received the rest of the test results from Tokyo. Here they are. Thank you. It's getting interesting, isn't it? Hee, I'm glad we can share this joy. Takano-san is my assistant who was sent from the Self-Defense Force. But she is far from the image I have of a Self-Defense Force officer. Just like our research is concealed, maybe her identity is concealed too. I'm sure her name is an alias as well. I'm just a doctor and a researcher. Without Takano-san's support, it's impossible for me to manage this institution. She is a pipeline to her clients in Tokyo, my assistant, as well as a researcher who is the expert of the Hinamizawa syndrome. Their existence is absolutely necessary. The more I think about it, the more I feel that this should have been the Takano institution rather than the EDA institution, and she should have been the director. But that was explained to me when they asked me to take this position. My client wanted a civilian to manage this place. They searched for a person who met the requirements, and there I was. I became the director. I have a feeling I'm just a puppet on the stand. But I don't just sit here and do nothing. I was asked to do research about a rare disease. I am a researcher. I'm excited about it. I'm not sure what my clients want out of this research, but I have a desire to enhance my quest for knowledge in order to become one of the first people to unravel the mysteries of the human body. We have all these data to prove the existence of a parasite as the cause of the Namizawa syndrome, yet we still can't find factual evidence of the culprit microbe itself. It's true. I thought we could easily find it if we used an electron microscope. Viruses are too small to see with a regular microscope, so the invention of the electron microscope was a dramatic advancement in the world of medicine. However, it's very expensive and there's no way for a normal doctor to own it. The late Dr. Takano said an electron microscope could find the cause of the disease, but it seems his theory has been proven wrong. Even Takano-san was hoping an electron microscope would find the cause. She was disappointed when she couldn't find anything from all the autopsies she performed. Our research seems to be having its first snag. It has actually stalled the research for several weeks now. We need to think about where to go from here. So maybe the viruses are microscopic? Or maybe there's something wrong with the specimen itself. What do you mean? For example, as you know, wild mice have tons of fleas on them. But you can't find fleas on dead mice. It's because when the mouse dies, the flea's habitat dies as well. So if the host dies, the parasite's world ends too. That's right. Just like you won't find a living human in a post-apocalyptic world. Therefore, we just need to look into the Earth before it ends, right? That's true. However, there's something called human rights. It's hard to look into it while it's alive. To examine a living human's brain holds a heavy meaning even in closed discussion. From a medical standpoint, it's necessary. But we have rules and morals in this world. And we have to advance the medicine within such boundaries. I remember the time I was studying psychosurgery for the betterment of mankind. I don't think I was wrong. However, would the concept of morals forgive me? I don't know. One day, the judgment will be handed down by the devil, whether I'm guilty or not guilty. I have to accept it. As I reflect upon my past, I hear the voice. It's Takano-san's voice. It was very clear and simple, yet it's a very clear and simple, yet it strikes me with surprise. Okay. Let me prepare a world before its death? I'm startled. Sometimes the advancement of medicine requires one to hear a devil's whisper of a sacrifice. I hear the devil's whisper. It's not that difficult. I just have to find a Hinamizawa resident who is about to die, that's all. But even if he's about to die, he will be brave enough to provide his body for research while he's still alive. Don't worry about that. He is dying anyway, so we're just going to put him to sleep a little sooner. On paper, of course. Jesus. You would think with information like this, freaking EDA would know exactly who killed who. The patient would be legally declared dead, even though he's still alive, and we were going to perform an autopsy while he's still alive. That's impossible. Besides, if we perform neurological surgery, we have to do a circular incision on the cranial area. Family will... what the fuck? The family won't be happy. We'll see the marks for sure. Yes. That's where we come in. All of the mountain hounds look for a patient that matches the description in the city immediately. How did you not know that it was her? Unless this conversation only happens here. All you have to do is wait with a knife and a fork in your hands. I'll bring your meal right away. Takano Miya-san is my partner, there's no question about that. But I just can't trust her. It's her extremities as a researcher, which contrast largely with mine. But how are we different? I'm here simply waiting with a knife and fork in my hands, just as she told me to. I just don't want to witness the gruesome scene, that's all. What she's preparing now is exactly what I want. What a hypocrite. Not her. It's me. How can I say I'm different knowing what I've done in the past? I performed psychosurgery without a patient's consent, despite it being a surgery that may affect his life forever. How is that any different from her? I've never doubted my past achievements. However, when I look at her, I start to feel uneasiness. Takano-san is talking to Okonogi on the intercom in my office. I'm sure she's telling him to come over so she could explain him what was just discussed. I'm simply watching without stopping her. Begin to reflect my past, to remember why I chose to become a doctor. Okay. So that was a memory, right? We just or I don't know what these are, like worlds or something? Or like situations? And so we have to we have to follow which ones to click on. So we completed that one. That one's a safe memory. So we just did that. So now we're looking for, so we just did this. We just found out. Okay, let's go back to 1. I feel like my strategy here is going to be going back to 1. So we need to figure out oh, there's another piece that's required first. So do I just need to make all these blue? Is that what's going on? Do I need to go there? So there's 2 things that say required first. Let's do the 2 things that are required first. Sorry for being late. I had an unusually large number of patients today. Oh, dude, this is gonna, Okay. Thank you for coming, Lieutenant Colonel. EDA. Tomitaki stands up and suddenly salutes when he sees EDA come to the room. Alright. Stop calling me Lieutenant Colonel. I'm a doctor. I just can't get used to the rank prefixes of the military. Can you call me Director instead? Understood, Director EDA. He knows EDA doesn't like to be called Lieutenant Colonel, so it is like a joke. They laugh casually. On the other hand, Takano looks fed up with it. She can't stand hearing the same joke over and over, and she is thinking about talking to Tomitaki about it. But she doesn't want to hurt his feelings, so she just never had the chance. But maybe it's because of how Tomitaki pronounces it. But she just keeps hearing Risa. Lieutenant Colonel in Japanese is Nisa. Okay. Once she heard it this way, she keeps hearing EDA Risa every time Tomitaki says it. When Takano told EDA about it, he had a good laugh over it. Today is the day that we introduce ourselves, and tomorrow is the actual meeting. Tomitaki is already here today, but there'll be more inspectors from Tokyo joining tomorrow, and we'll explain to them about the progress of our research. Anyway, I heard the whole village is up in arms about the damn construction plan. Yeah, sure. The village is in such a mess. I attended the community meeting as a local member, and the meeting was full of roaring and profanity. When the plan of the Hinamizawa Jam was announced, the Hinamizawa residents burst out in anger. The government quickly retracted their compromise quickly. They made it clear that they are willing to go up against the locals. They didn't want the locals to take advantage of them by showing their willingness to compromise. But that backfired. The Hinamizawa residents are tied to their land historically, and the government's action only made their bonds even stronger. Neither the government nor the locals want to back down. People of Hinamizawa are rather hot-tempered. Maybe that's because they are descendants of demons. That's not funny. The wild meeting lasted all night. Feel the pain. Really, it's not funny, Tomitaki-san. So, what's going on with the damn construction plan? Is the village going to be submerged? Pressure is on in Tokyo, too. Things look as if the plan is going well, but actually things are falling apart. I hope the pressure works soon. The village is so fired up every day, and the villagers seem to be very discontent lately. Sometimes I have to listen to my patients go on and on about their opinion on the damn construction plan. Why do you even listen to them? You're way too nice. I have to. I'm a clinic director first, and a research center director second. It's part of my job to listen to them. That's very nice. I admire you. I know that people in Tokyo will call off the plan sooner or later, but villagers don't. So they have to live in fear that they might be forced to leave the land where they've lived for generations. Even if they're told to leave, they don't have money and they are old. Many of them wanted the government to increase the amount of compensation, but the government changed its mind. I don't think it's possible for them to come to a peaceful agreement at this point. There were actually some villagers who were satisfied with the amount of compensation and were willing to leave. However, the Sonozaki family didn't want to change their stance against the issue. They are actually leading the villagers in the fight against the government. They are blaring announcement vans everywhere and ads and flyers attached to the circulation notices. It's a serious matter for the villagers. I guess I can understand them. I hope the damn construction plan will be called off soon for the sake of the villagers. Once it's called off, this village will become peaceful once again. Of course, I know that. Things are moving right along in Tokyo too, so give us a little more time. I've heard a rumor from Tokyo that you're having problems finding a connection or for putting pressure onto the Minister of Construction. Is that true? Oh, huh. I'm not sure, but I've heard myself... Wait. I'm not sure, but I've heard myself that they are having a little problem with the details. I don't know why that was so hard for me to read. Takano has powerful people supporting her, but they don't control all of Japan. There are some things that they're strong at, but there are other things that they can't do too well. Finding a way to put pressure on the Minister of Construction is the latter. Seriously. We don't have to leave here just because of the dam, right? Of course not. I can guarantee that won't happen. It's just taking longer than we thought, that's all. So please continue your research. We were told that if things can't be resolved peacefully, then we may have to use drastic measures. Drastic measures? What do you mean, Tomitaki-san? You don't need to worry about that part, Director ADA. Please let us take care of it. I see. Okay. Thank you for your work. Don't worry, Director ADA. The damn construction plan will be called off. It's already decided. As Takano giggles, Tomitaki giggles too. However, EDA can't understand what's so funny, so he feels left out. EDH finds out about the meaning behind those drastic measures when he examines a young boy he had never seen in the village before. What? What? Okay. So let's look for pieces that are supposed to go first. Because the ones that have to go first are repetitive apologies are required. Oh, dude. Okay. So here's my only confusion, and here's where we might run into trouble. Right? Is because so I don't know if look at all these pieces that are required first. So I don't know if I'm to. I don't know if I am to. I don't know if I'm to click on all of these or if I'm supposed to match certain ones. Red capsule is required, and like those certain ones that I match will do stuff, because like there's a lot of things. A raw sea urchin and vitamin A is required. A teddy bear is required. She needs moral support. What the fuck? That's crazy. I have no idea. We're just gonna keep moving. We're gonna keep moving. We're gonna keep on moving. We'll click on all the ones that are required first, and then we will do other things. I don't know. We'd have to figure out what we clicked on and what we didn't, and I'll have to like keep track of like what I clicked on and what I didn't, and like what happened in those. There's gonna be this. This got a lot more complicated. Crazy. Okay, sure. So the dam construction will bring in new jobs and revitalize the local industry. Not what we're asking. Who the heck gave you permission to build a dam here? You squeeze money and tax money from us, and this is what we get from you? Who do you think pays your salaries, huh? Look, we're trying to explain to you. We don't need your excuses. We want to know when you will stop the construction. You're useless. Bring the minister in construction here near. I'll get to the bottom of it. Shut up, you yuppie. Hey, you're paid with our tax money, so why the hell are you talking down to us from up there? Come down and talk to us face to face. The auditorium is filled with angry shouting. The sign at the entrance says Hinamizawa Dam Construction Local Explanatory Meeting. Every time the official tries to say something on the stage, the packed citizens shut him up with their shouting. The official tries to ignore them and continues to explain the pros of the dam. However, that just makes the citizens even angrier. There's one thing I've learned from customer service. You have to be, like, angry with the people. You try to, like, say everything's alright. People just get mad. I don't know. Between the stage and the citizens, there's an open area where the police squads stand by. If they weren't there, the citizens would jump onto the stage and start a riot. I watched them. What? I watched them from the back of the auditorium. It's obvious they are swallowed by anger. They are filled with bloody rage, and anger that came from a certain purpose becomes a purpose in itself, and it creates a vicious cycle where anger leads to more anger. Anger is a necessary emotion. People face difficulties in their life. Anger is a motivating power to fight and conquer such difficulties. Therefore, anger is an essential part of life itself. So I don't deny anger. However, over-the-top anger makes people forget their purpose. That is no longer an essential part of life. As the blood rushes to their head, a person can't remember what he has done. It's obviously a reckless state. Such emotions sadden and hurt us. I can clearly see the villagers who live with us becoming demons. I understand the rules of the human world. The power of an individual is no comparison to the power of the government. To be able to fight with the government, an individual needs a larger unified power. But to steer that unified power in the right direction is extremely difficult. A cycle of anger leads to more anger. It's not anger to live, but it's anger to be angry. It's the same as being a demon. And this emotion awakens us roughly while we sleep peacefully. Everyone is immersed in their own anger. We lived peacefully while the villagers slept quietly. But now that we are awakened, it's almost like we are back in the times where demons poured out of Onigafuchi Swamp. I shouted at everyone to calm them down, but my voice doesn't reach anyone because of the vicious cycle of anger. I keep shouting repeatedly, hoping that even one of them will hear my voice. Because the demons may awaken. Demons that went into a deep sleep may awaken because of the commotion. The atmosphere changes. When I look up, an angry exchange between the citizens and the stage is now a civil strife between the citizens themselves. What is going on? Shut up. Those are your reasons, not ours. Don't pull us into this, you old hag. Who the hell cares? The hell you say, you bastard? Hey. You know who you're talking to? You're talking to Oryu-san. You got some nerve, huh? Who the hell do you think you are? Shut up. Sonozaki, so what? I'm Hojo. Get your goons away. Hey, Hojo. How dare you say that you want the village to be submerged? How much did you get paid? Shut up, geezer. Listen well, there are plenty of poor people in Hinamizawa. Not everyone is rich and has fields like you do in the mountains. I was satisfied with the compensation for the government. They even offered to provide public housing for me. Yet you ruined everything, you assholes. Don't pretend you're the same as us. If you want to fight with the government, why don't you fight by yourself? Then who's going to pay? You? I'm poor and I have 2 kids at home. I was planning to start a new life by leaving here in peace after getting compensation from the government and finding a job elsewhere. But you, since when did you represent me, huh? Do you think that you are more important or what? Hey, Hojo. How dare you betray us? Oh my goodness. I apologize for my cough. Then get out of this village. Sure, I'll be happy to. But you're going to pay what I'm entitled for, right? You're going to pay me every yen of compensation I was going to get from the government. Even if I want to leave the village, I don't have the money. If you're going to pay me, I'll leave right away. Hojo is right. There are residents who are willing to leave. The 3 families, don't drag us into this. Hey, what the heck is this? Who just spoke? Come on, who did? You want to stay, then stay. We have a right to leave, so don't interfere. That's right. Get the hell out of here, old hag Sonozaki. Of course we'll compensate the people who will support the damn construction plan. This is not an exploitation of lands. Shut up, government dog. Are you trying to split the village? Die, Hojo. You don't deserve to breathe the village air. Hold your breath and die. Screw you, old hag. I'll kill you right now. Step up, old. Come on. Hey, move over, cop. Very good. That was very good, Hojo. I haven't been this pissed off for a long time. You'll get what you deserve. Look forward to it. Come on, Hojo. The government has to provide us new jobs, shelter, and compensation. Hey, stop this violence. All of you, stop it. Oh yeah? Show me what you've got. Everyone is tainted with red anger. I can only watch them. The least I can do is to apologize for the tragedy that is about to happen. I'm sorry. This is how things started. From this day onward, the Hojo family and the Sonozaki family will wage a feud with each other, and the Hojo family will become isolated in this village. This marks the start of Satoko and Satoshi's lives of tremendous hardship. So, I don't know. Wait, so hold on. Was I supposed to do that one? I'm glad I saved at the beginning of all this, in case I'm just doing everything wrong. Which is, cool. It looks like it's a glass pane, though. Like, I feel like completing all the glass panes is, like, what you're supposed to do, right? And, like, that's how you do it. So this one said, repeating apologies require. Wanted to become a doctor since I was little. Oh, this is the reason why EDA wants to become a doctor. Doctors make a lot of money. People look up to doctors. I think those are the kinds of reasons I had. So when I played with my friends, I always acted like a doctor. I cleaned the wounds and used ice packs when my friends sprained their ankles, using what I learned from household medical books. Everyone, including me, believed that I'd be a doctor one day. My family was poor, so they praised my goal. They told me that I needed to study a lot to become a doctor, so they borrowed some quackery books from the rental library for me. The rental fee wasn't cheap, so I would speed read one book in a day, and then the next day my parents would go back to the store to exchange it for a different book, saying they accidentally borrowed a book they already borrowed before. By doing so, my parents borrowed 2 books for the price of one. Of course, now I know these books were rather useless, but they were highly motivational for me to reach my goal. My neighbors called me Dr. Kyosuke-kun, and I was always picked for class as health officers at school. My teacher even helped me with the classes I needed to take to become a doctor. Of course, in reality, becoming a doctor isn't as easy as it seems. I had to study diligently, and the path was most definitely rough. To become a doctor, one must attend college. Since my family was poor, I was told I wasn't allowed to go to an expensive private school. So I had to be admitted to a national public university. Sounds familiar. My grades weren't bad, but the admission rate to the national public universities were very marginal. So, especially since I wanted to get into medical school, the chances were even smaller. I studied like crazy. The only driving force was my childhood dream of becoming a doctor. The dream of becoming a doctor and to be looked up by everyone kept me going. Got it. And I was admitted. I wasn't at the top of the list, but I made it in, and I was finally at the starting point of making my childhood dream come true. My parents were thrilled. Neither my father nor my mother went to college, so they were proud of their son getting into a public medical school. They invited their relatives and celebrated. Although it was a public university, the tuition wasn't cheap, but they still But they still had an extravagant celebration. My father didn't express his emotions much. He always kept his straight face. He rarely expressed an opinion or led anything. My mother took care of everything. He showed up last and left without saying a word. He was the typical stern and silent Japanese father at the time. That's why I was surprised to see him shedding tears of joy, and I cried with him. He went around to all my relatives while repeatedly slapping my back, saying he was so proud of his son and how lucky he was to have a son like me, and he bragged about my achievement to all who would hear it. The party became my farewell party as I was about to leave for Tokyo. My father hailed Banzai repeatedly at the station as the train pulled away. I was a little embarrassed, but when I couldn't see my father anymore, I clearly recall the tears pouring down. The days of hellish studying and exams began after that. Some days I was tempted just to give up and submit myself to the lavish lifestyle of the city. But the letters from my family encouraged me every time and gave me energy to go on. My dream then was to open up my own clinic in my hometown so I could contribute to the area. I never even dreamed of getting involved with brains. One day I noticed a difference in a letter from my family. The letter said the usual things like how things are at home and asking how I'm doing. But the postscript is what got my attention. Dad has become violent lately. Sometimes he turns the house upside down and I don't know what to do. I just couldn't picture him acting so violently. I was extremely surprised. Something happened? But in the postscript my mother said that there was nothing she could think of. My mother and father had been together for a long time. They'd been together since well before I was born. So she noticed things that I couldn't. She couldn't even think of a reason why my father had become violent. What happened? They got along so well, they were such a lovely couple. When I caused a problem for my mother when I was little, my father bonked my head with his knuckle. Why is he acting this way towards my mother? Maybe there was some kind of misunderstanding between them. I was going home for the new year. Maybe I could have a good talk with him. But the situation was a lot more serious than I thought. On one cold winter day, I found my apartment door unlocked. I thought someone broke in, but then I found my mother in my apartment with her luggage. That's right. My mother could no longer take my father's violence and came to stay with me. This was back when people still believed that the proverb, a woman has no place to settle down all her life. She couldn't go back to her own family because they lived in the same area as my father, so she came all the way to Tokyo. She told me about my father's daily domestic violence towards her. She cried, saying she had no idea why such a quiet man changed like that. She said she wasn't ever going back to him. I didn't know what to do. I asked her if she could talk to him one more time, but the bruises on her body told me it was no use. To remember what happened afterwards is too much, so I'll be brief. After my mother left, my father thought she was having an affair and went over to the neighbor's house with a wooden sword. He was arrested. He was released immediately, but assumed someone in the neighborhood was hiding her, so he did the same thing repeatedly. He eventually went to the point of getting into fights with anyone he saw. At the end, he picked a fight with punks and ended up being beaten to death. Jesus. My relatives gave my father a decent funeral, but my mother didn't attend. No use beating a dead horse. So nobody said anything negative about my father, but everyone was simply puzzled as to why he changed so much. What I heard from my relatives about my father's final days was a lot stranger than what I heard from my mother. My mother only told me about his sudden rage and violence. But my relatives told me that he would also suddenly be in euphoria and in depression as well. His emotions changed suddenly and it was worse towards his final days. They also told me that he started to complain about headaches after an accident. My father was a construction worker. He hit his head hard on a 2x4 one day. He regained consciousness quickly and he was fine. But since that accident, he started to have headaches and abnormalities. I sensed the connection between the accident and my father's change, so I talked to my professor after I came back to Tokyo. I can't be sure, but from what I hear, there's a possibility that your father has some kind of psychological condition. Oh, really? Maybe the accident caused some sort of injury to the brain or induced some psychiatric disorder. Personality disorder and delirium that your father had are very similar to the symptoms of the patients with organic brain syndrome. Human behavior is created by the brain, and if the brain is damaged, it can cause erratic behavior. In other words, my father wasn't crazy. He was a patient suffering from a disorder. If you can perform an autopsy on him, you should check his brain carefully. Maybe you'll find something like a tumor. My father was already cremated, so there was no way of knowing. But hearing about his behavior, I knew for sure. That was the only way to explain the reason why a quiet and gentle man would change. I tried to explain that to my relatives to regain my father's honor, but hardly anyone understood. If his brain were damaged, he would have been dead. But he was alive and well. The accident didn't damage his brain. It wasn't his brain that caused him to change, it was his mind. He simply brushed it off. This is the perception most people have about the brain. They don't realize that the mind and brain are connected. I mean, I'm pretty sure they do. Most relatives didn't believe me, but there was one person who I wanted to believe me. It was my mother. As she got older, she became senile, and she exaggerated the abuse she had to endure. All she did was criticize my father. And every time she ended up crying, lamenting that she married him. They were a lovely couple. We were a great family. I feel like this. I feel like they have so many situations in this visual novel that like one of the situations is bound to hit you or be like, oh, this is you. You know? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's why I wanted to understand that she was misunderstanding the situation with my father. Obviously, this is a weird, like a exaggerated situation, but it's almost like, I don't know. My father's behavior was caused by his brain disorder. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just rambling as I'm reading at the same time. What he did to her is very sad, but he didn't want to be that way. I told her that he wasn't at fault, but my mother didn't understand. Before she took the final breath, I begged her to forgive my father. But her final words were, "Please don't bury me next to your father." My father wasn't at fault. He was simply the victim of a brain disorder. You don't complain to a person who's coughing because he has a cold. Because coughing is just a symptom and he should be sympathized with. In my father's case, the symptoms weren't as clear as coughing. They were more difficult to ascertain. It's called a personality change. If I'd studied about the brain more, I could have explained it better to my mother so she could have understood my father. Then they could have been a nice couple again in heaven. When I realized that, I cried. I also realized that there are plenty of people like my father in this world who are suffering from this disorder, yet they misunderstood it and despised for it. Wait, what despised? That can't be. Oh, they are misunderstood and despised for it. Gotcha. And then I found out. I found out about a miraculous cure for such disorders called psychosurgery. Ever since that day, I spent my days learning about the brain so I could help people who were suffering from mental illness. My father is gone, but if he was still alive, I could cure him myself, so he and my mother could reconcile. That's the main reason why I'm here. Jesus. That's some interesting stuff. But no, I feel like, it hits on a lot of stuff. Like, it's exaggerated, obviously, for the visual novel. But, it's like abusive relationship, divorce, living by yourself or living with a single parent is like Rena. I don't know, there's some weird stuff. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. So I don't know how you all want me to handle this. Because, I don't know. I don't actually know what I'm doing just yet. So I can go in blind and just continue to do it like I've been doing. My idea in my head is that I'm supposed to complete all of these in order. So like as I'm doing them, other things will unlock. Like this one, I needed his reminiscence, but now that has like unlocked. I bet you it's unlocked something else. This I can just do right away. And so all the ones that say this piece is required first, sorry, I'm like yawning and thinking at the same time. So the pieces that are required first I can just do. But as I do them, things are going to happen that unlock, like kind of like that EDA thing we just did. So my goal is to complete all of them in one go. And I don't know if there's a way. Is there no way to save? Yo, am I locked in? Can I save state? I think I'm gonna save state. Well, I could always skip past. I don't know. Well, so I don't think there is. I don't think there's the way that I can save out of this. So when I come back, what I'll do is I'll do all the ones that I've done. And it'll be a good refresher to me to know what's happening again for the next episode. So, and then another thing, right? So my understanding is that we're supposed to complete all of this in one go without messing up. Do you guys want well, no, because there's story beats in this. I was gonna say, do you want me to do this by myself? But like, there's story beats, so like, I kind of have to do it with you all. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Lots of visual novel roguelike content on the channel if you're interested in any of that. Interesting. So what did we just get? We got the knowledge of what happened to Ide's parents. Is that an unlocker for something? I have to almost figure out what I need to unlock things. So I need people to die? Wait, so... Well, no, yes. But yes and no at the same time. I need people to die because I need fragments of the... Or I need, like, pages of the thing for the end. Oh, I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing. So, I'm hoping that I'm doing it right. Let me know if I should change anything about what I'm doing. Please give me advice, because I'm just going to do all of it. Cause I am assuming that's what you have to do. You just have to do all of it, and then you get the things. And that's why they're like, as soon as you quit out and you uninstall the game. Anyway. I'm just making sure I'm showing all the pages to myself. Okay, I can save if I go into a thing. Okay, so wait, so does that mean we can go into... Okay, so if I go into things that I've already done, it lets me save there. Okay, cool. That makes me a little bit happier. Sorry, sorry I haven't ended the episode yet. I'm just kind of like messing around a little bit, getting my bearings on like what I'm supposed to do, so I can go back into things and refresh my memory of what happened in those things. So that way, if I'm like confused on what happened in a thing, got it. Sweet, awesome. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next episode, whenever that may be, and peace out, you guys.